minorities, right? It's absurd. Over 85% of the population.
Shalom. Kohalo Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakak Radash. Shalom and salutations and double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, where I continue to learn 100% truth. Shalom to the elder bishops, the elders, the prophets and the teachers, and evangelists of Great Millstone. Shalom to the speckled bird, the confused face, the Akim and Aqua, the Akim on the highways and byways, and last but not least, the elect. Back again with another video. And this one, this is, I forgot this man's name. And like Elder Malcolm says, I don't think this man is an Arab. I truly believe he's Jake from what he says and what he talks about. But, you know, these types of things we find out in the future, in the near future. But, you know, he's going in. And, you know, I felt it was worthy to bring out and listen to it. You're going to listen to it. We're going to get some scriptures. Mr. Shaheed. So let's listen to what he's saying.
Well, I'll tell you, the American people really need to stop thinking of themselves as Americans.
He's going in. He automatically, in less than 5 seconds, he's already telling you the truth.
Honestly, this is a mental trap. It's a trick, actually, to make you feel invested in a system that does not invest in you. If you're a part of a so-called minority community especially, then you only think of yourselves that way because you're an American, or you think of yourself as an American, so you're a minority in American society. But it's a lie if you look at the bigger picture. Obviously, you're not minorities. You're members of the global majority who happen to live in the United States. You're a diaspora community from the global majority. The majority in that country is a global minority. But as long as you think of yourselves as American, well, you will think of yourselves as a minority. Because you believed in this society, in this system. You have invested in it, and you believe yourself to be a part of the very society that tells you you don't belong in that society. You see? It would be like inmates in a prison thinking that they're actually part of the staff of the prison administration. Like you aren't incarcerated and abused in that jail, you just work there. Except that the other people who call themselves prison staff get to go home after their shifts, while you just get to stay there. You have to stay there in your cell. But you pretend, you imagine, that there's some equality between you and the prison guard, between you and the prison staff. That's what it's like if you're a so-called minority in America. You're a prisoner who thinks that he's a guard. But the guards will never hesitate to remind you which one of you has the baton, which one of you has the club, which one of you has the rights, and which one of you has freedom.
This is Ecclesiasticus, Sirach 12 and 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. And this man is a straight up devil. And Esau will remind you, even when you think that you are, free, that you're not free. And he's going to get ready to show the world how much he truly, really hates you.
But even then, you seem to think that the prison works just like seniority at a company or something. As if, as a prisoner, the longer you serve, eventually you'll get to be the warden. That's how delusional you are. It doesn't work like that. No, you're not an American, and you're not a minority. You're a member of the global majority who just happens to be in the United States. And I'm telling you, this applies whether your so-called minority status is based on race or color or ethnicity, or if it's based on religion, or even if it's based on your economic status, because most of the people on earth are not white, they're not Christian, and they're not rich. So you need to think of yourselves as part of the rest of the people in the world who look like you, who believe like you, and who struggle financially like you. Those are your compatriots, your comrades, your brothers and sisters. That's your nation. If you think of yourselves in any other kind of way, then this is just a tactic for reducing you and cutting you off from the power that comes from numbers. Do you know how foolish it sounds to anyone else, anyone who looks at the totality of the world, when you say something like Asian minorities, black and brown minorities, right? It's absurd. Over 85% of the population on the planet is either Asian or African or Latin American. You think that you're a blade of grass in the desert, but the desert is just a little tiny sandbox in the middle of a field of grass. So don't think of yourselves as minorities in America. Think of yourselves as representing the global majority that encircles that country. So if you can readjust your thinking along these lines, then you might also better understand that as a part of the international majority, you're supposed to redress your grievances to international bodies for justice. And you'll look at the crimes and the violations that are committed against you in that country as breaches of international law, which they are. The same.
This is Revelation 13 and 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And this exactly is what Mr. Shahid is telling you about Esau in Babylon, where we stay, is that this man is a wicked man, and he's coming off like he cares about you, only to show you that he doesn't care nothing about you. He's going to destroy you. He wants to destroy you. This is what Nero was doing. He's attacking you, and you don't even know that you're being attacked. Well, I think now Jake realizes, talking Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom, that he's being attacked. But this man is not going to stop, because Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai has a spirit on this man to antagonize and to push us to the limit.
Way that there are crimes and violations of international law when that country does the same things overseas, when America does things overseas, because your rights are profoundly violated in that country. And the worst part about it is that the indoctrination system has normalized it for you and has made you think that your only recourse when your rights are violated is to go to the ones who are committing the violations. You know, they cut you off from the international community, from the global majority, and made you think that when, for example, when the police murder innocent members of your community, you're supposed to turn to the police for justice. You're supposed to go to the...
This is, hold on. And this is, Salaki, and this is all Esau's been doing, is he's been tricking you to make you believe that he cares for you. He cares for everybody, and he wants to help everybody. Like right now, you got Trump going into the so-called black communities and harassing everybody, and then he gets on the microphone and tells the world that we have to reduce crime. What about the crimes that you devils are in? You know what I mean? This is Isaiah 31 and 1. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help, and stay on horses, and trust in chariots, because there are many, and horsemen, because they are very strong, but they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek Yahweh. And that's why 2/3 of y'all are going to be destroyed, and you got to die. That's why Yahweh Shah put the spirit on these devils to come into our neighborhoods and to do what they're doing to us.
Very security forces that are targeting your community for extrajudicial killings and ask them for justice. No. You're supposed to go to the United Nations. You're supposed to go to the International Criminal Court, to the International Court of Justice.
They can't help you.
I mean, tell me, why the so-called police officers...
They can't help you. You got to go to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. That's the problem. You don't fear the Lord. You fear Esau, and you fear his enchantments, his technology, his devices.
And the chiefs of police and the police commissioners and so on, all of those police officials who are involved in any extrajudicial killing in the United States, why do they put on trial in Minnesota, in Pennsylvania, Missouri, Texas, or Kansas, or what have you? Why not at The Hague? I mean, you say it's systemic, don't you? You know it's systemic targeting of so-called minority communities. You can't look at the mass incarceration numbers and not know that this is systemic targeting. Mass incarceration of members of the global majority in the United States, who are then forced to work as slave labor for private enterprise in prison, often for the rest of their lives. This is systemic population reduction of so-called minority communities through extrajudicial killing and detention. Well, that's nothing but a form of ethnic cleansing. But again, they make you think it's normal. It's not normal. It's criminal. And it's a crime against humanity. It's a violation of international law. and you are members of the international community, whether you realize it or not. Your government, your system, has got you believing that international law doesn't apply to you. Well, why do you suppose they made you think that? Because they don't want you to know that their treatment of you is not normal, that it's not civilized, and that it's not legal. They have you thinking that you have the most rights of any people on earth, the most freedom of any people on earth, and so on. And that's precisely.
And that's through the media, the music, the internet. These are devices that Satan uses, or Esau uses to trick us and to brainwash us. This is 2 Corinthians 2:11. Lest Satan should get an advantage for us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. So the true men of Yahweh and Yahweh, they see and they know that this devil he's wicked as hell. And every time he talks about peace, sudden destruction. Let me get that scripture. But he's definitely moving on us, man. Definitely moving on us.
Because you don't. You're like an abused spouse who's been browbeat into thinking that you're married to the most wonderful person on earth. Meanwhile, that same person treats you like a monster, treats everyone else like a monster, and is viewed by everyone else as a monster. The mass incarceration, prison industrial complex, ethnic cleansing system is a violation of the International Labor Organization's Convention number 29.
Salaki, this is 1 Thessalonians 5:3. But when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape.
The International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination. And of course, it's a violation of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. This is nothing short of modern day slavery. And it's a shame that you don't even know that there are laws higher than the laws of your city, your state, and your federal government that exist to protect you. The same goes for every manifestation of racism, of white supremacy, and every form of discrimination in your country. These are all violations of international law, and you should have redress to that. You know, they just made homelessness illegal in America. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
It's illegal to be homeless, but not illegal to make you homeless. Criminalizing being poor when you are made poor by a criminal system. You're not allowed to not have enough money to pay for your own survival, but they're allowed to make your survival too expensive to pay for. And if you have any blotch on your credit record, why, it may as well be a criminal record. You can't rent, you can't get a job, you can't secure housing, you can't get a car, anything. And they talk about China's social credit system. Well, you invented it. They've got your social security number around your neck like an iron collar. Everybody in that country has debt collectors chasing after them like bloodhounds after an escaped convict. Well, you know that.
Yeah, he going in like I told you, man. This is Sirach 28:13. Curse the whisperer and double-tongued, for such have destroyed many that were our peace. And who's the ones that are our peace? The Israelites.
Something called the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and that's supposed to protect you. But they don't want anyone to know about it. They want you to think that your only recourse is to go to the government for help, when it's that same government that puts you in debt, keeps you in debt, and is itself in debt. The same government that is bought and paid for by the very predatory, parasitic companies that make life too expensive in America, that make it impossible to get an education without drowning in debt for the rest of your life. The same government and the same courts that have taken all the rights and protections away from you and given them to corporations and given them to the super rich. They don't want you to even know about your rights under international law. This is the dual purpose of American exceptionalism. They don't respect international law. They think that they're above the law, and they want you to have that same attitude. But the difference is that you're suffering because of it, because they don't respect international law when it comes to their own people. You think that they defy the law everywhere else but adhere to it at home? No. They're criminals outside and they're criminals inside.
All day long, but they want to go into our neighborhoods and say that our lifestyle is well, I mean, it is wicked. The black culture is wicked as hell. It needs to be destroyed, and it will be. But Esau's a hypocrite, you know. 1 Samuel 20:20. And I will shoot 3 arrows. Salakia, that's not what I want. What the hell? Let me see, hold up. Bear with me 1 second, Israel. Isaiah 29:15. Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from Yahweh, and their works are in the dark, and they say, who seeth us, and who knoweth us? The elect know, the men of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai know. The ones that are out there in the highways and byways, they see you. They know what you're doing.
And the thing that enables them to be that way is their domination of the United Nations. You have as much at stake as the rest of the world does when it comes to the invocation of Article 6. The only difference between you and and America's victims all around the world is that at least they know that they're victims. You think you're privileged.
And you're not. They're the ones that's running the show, and that's part of the enchantment, is that they tell you that all men in Babylon is equal. And then when you do the same things that they do, you get punished hardcore for it. And they don't and nothing really happens to them. You see what they doing. This is Psalm 73:5. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men.
If we can get the U.S. expelled from the UN for their persistent violations of the principles of the UN Charter, I'm telling you.
Yeah, as we continue.
You can't even fathom how different this world could be, how different your own lives can be. The Article 6 campaign is fighting for a day when the United States will be held accountable for its crimes against humanity, both abroad and at home. This measure would be the most decisive blow imaginable to the American tyranny that you and I have been living under and suffering under for our whole lives, and what the whole world has been enduring for as long as anyone can remember. We can foresee a future with the Article 6 campaign in which the United Nations is, once it's liberated from U.S. domination and control, it could actually impose accountability on the United States, something that is practically and procedurally impossible right now, as long as America reigns under Security Council. We can envision a future where the world unites to impose economic sanctions on America, to cut the empire off at the knees and force it to reckon with the blood they have on their hands. But this struggle isn't only about liberating the oppressed people of the world. No, like I said, it's also about liberating the American people themselves from the chains of corporate tyranny and state oppression. Because the United States is not just a global oppressor, it's an oppressor of its own people.
Ooh. Revelation 17:16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire.
American people have been deceived. They've been manipulated, and they've been dominated by the private sector, by the corporations that control their government, control their economy, and control their everyday lives. These corporations, these faceless entities of greed, have built their empire on the suffering of the working class, the exploitation of the poor, and on the backs of all of those poor people who believed in the so-called American dream. But it turns out that it wasn't a dream at all. It's a drunken stupor. You're drunk from propaganda and indoctrination, and on top of that, you're punch drunk from enduring the relentless beating that system has been giving you your whole life. And it's time to sober up. Don't you know that if the UN is allowed to do its job, America can be punished for its actions? America can be sanctioned. And what better punishment could there possibly be for a system that prioritizes profit over everything else? Why America can't cope if they were sanctioned by major trading partners and by 190 nations on Earth. You operate on a trade deficit every year, about $1 trillion worth. That means that you import $1 trillion worth of goods more than you export, and you're importing things that you can't produce yourselves. Yeah, I know it sounds like this is going to make your life harder, but this is a process of struggle and sacrifice that you're going to have to go through to wrestle your way out of corporate domination. With the Article 6 campaign, we can envision a world where the power of these corporations is shattered. When the sanctions come, when American businesses lose their grip on global markets, the stranglehold that corporations have on the American people will weaken. Without the profits that fuel their domination, these corporations will lose their influence over the government, over the economy, over every aspect of American life. Look, the American economy, the military-industrial complex, has long been propped up by the exploitation of the world and the manufacture of conflicts across the globe by means of using the United Nations. Well, wait until that system contracts. The collapse of the old system will make way for something new, something better, something moral, inshallah. We're working towards a future where Wall Street, that temple of greed and corruption, is brought to its knees. When the sanctions hit, the stock market will tremble and the dollar will weaken. This is not something to fear. This is something to welcome. When the financial markets are in turmoil, the power of the corporate elite will be shaken. The American people will have the chance to demand a new economic model that serves the many and not just the few. We're pushing for a future where these multinational behemoths, which have robbed people of their livelihoods and of their dignity, get dismantled. We're striving for a world where the U.S. no longer has the power to intimidate and to oppress. We want to see America forced to turn inward, to look at the rot within its own borders, to face the crimes that it has committed against its own people.
Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is going to be the one to do that. It's not going to happen any other way. Prophecy will happen. This is Revelation 14:10. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. So our enemies are going to drink the cup that's as we have, and they're going to have to face the same similar things that we face. It's only going to be in a righteous way.
The government will have no choice but to rehabilitate itself, to reform its institutions, the institutions that they have used to oppress their own citizens for far too long, because those entities that control your government, government today, those private sector entities, will lose their dominance. Our struggle is not just about the immediate effects that sanctions, for example, might bring, but long-term change. We're fighting for a world where the U.S. is no longer the center of the world, when the power of the dollar is diminished, when global trade is realigned with the people, not just the corporations. And within America, we're fighting for a future where the government is forced to serve its people, to protect their rights, to ensure their dignity. A world where America is held accountable for its crimes, both abroad and at home. A world where the American people are liberated from the domination of corporate power, where the government is forced to rehabilitate itself, to end mass incarceration, to end police brutality, to end all of their domestic violations of international law, and behave like a civilized nation among all of the other nations of the world, not as a global hegemon that thinks that it is above the law and acts above the law even with regards to their own citizens. Well,
this is Isaiah 34:8. For it is the day of Yahweh's vengeance and the year of recompense for the controversy of Zion. So things are going to happen, and Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is going to be in control of it all. And he's going to destroy our enemies. You can read Luke 1:71. I think verse 68 to 71. But that's all I got for you right there, man. I'll be right to say you were edified with that quick lesson. I'm going to say, Koholo Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakak Radash. Shalom and salutations again and double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone while I continue to learn this 100% truth. And shalom to the elect. Shalom.